Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie Dow, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. All right, welcome back everybody to another episode, an early morning episode of Secrets from the Saddle, All Things Cycling podcast with your host Sylvie Dow, and I'm interviewing the gorgeous Anna Russell, who is sitting in New Zealand, which is 9 p.m. So before we get into this podcast episode and interview while we're both sitting in our pajamas, it's so funny that I have a couple announcements to remind you that I am moving down to 2 episodes instead of 3 on a weekly basis. I've acquired some new responsibilities that will require my attention, and I don't want to stop the podcast because I absolutely love this podcast. I have so many amazing guests coming in, but I just had to shift it so that I didn't lose my mind and burn out in the process. So we got 2 episodes every week. We'll do 1 interview and 1 coaching episode, and then this is also going to be linked to a new podcast YouTube channel. So all you have to do is search Secrets in the Saddle podcast, and everything new moving forward is going to be there, and I'll slowly be migrating the old episodes back there, but they're on my other coaching my other coaching YouTube channels. So those 2 announcements, just to remind you that when you don't get an episode on a Wednesday, it's not that it's not happening. It's just Monday and Fridays that they'll be going out. So let's get into it. Anna Russell is, like I said, she's in New Zealand. She's an event organizer, just like myself. And the funny thing is that usually when we get into these episodes, when a host and an interviewee gets online, we sit there and we chat for a while. So the funny thing is I'm going to keep all the chatter in this episode with Anna because it's really good content. And honestly, I was so tired because it was 5 a.m. and she was tired because it was 9 p.m. And so I'm going to keep the full conversation. And the unfortunate thing for you guys is that, because we're both sitting in our pajamas, you are not going to see us on video. So, but I have populated the YouTube channel with a bunch of photos of Anna. She's an amazing event organizer, commentator for Zwift. So this is a good reason why I had her on here. She's a friend of Nathan Guerrera of Community Live, so Zwift Community Live. So if you're a Zwifter and a racer, you'll know of him and Anna. So that's why I asked for a referral and he referred her, and that's where we got her on the podcast. So super excited to talk about all things cycling in Zwift. So Zwiftland, because we're all going to be migrating there shortly in the next couple months as the winter comes back to Canada. And so super excited, and I hope you enjoy this episode, and don't forget about those announcements. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Especially for this in this time of the morning. Hold on.
Yeah, how early is it for you?
5.
Geez, you look great for 5 in the morning. I'd be like still in my PJs and my hair
Well,
would be
I'm
horrific.
still in my PJs. What are you
Ah,
talking
nice. That's good. Oh, geez. You do not like it's 5 in the morning.
about? Well, I figured so I won't be talking too loud because I am in the basement. But yeah, still I tend to be quite loud.
Ah, cool. Nice. Do you have family upstairs?
Yeah, everybody's sleeping.
Nice.
Like I figured we'd probably both be in our PJs at this point.
I actually am, and I'm in my PJs under my big, huge winter jacket.
Well, it's cold.
Yeah, it's freezing. Well, like not Canadian cold, but like you're Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, not that cold, but it's cold for me.
Oh
It's
yeah,
winter here.
it's your winter
Yeah.
there. And you're in New Zealand.
Yeah. So I'm in the basement too. All my kids are asleep, but at nighttime.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
same deal.
Yeah.
I know because I swear to God that I would never like I try and do all my interviews, during the day. And I
Yeah.
I did a couple at night. I'm like, there's no way I could do it. I'm just like
Yeah. Yeah. I know doing like commentary, some commentary I do at like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, oh my God,
well,
like
yeah,
I'm so
because
tired.
that's really what I want to talk about a lot of is like your story on how you got into cycling. And I noticed that you train adventure racers.
Yeah. Yeah. So people, and I know when you were talking to Nathan, you said you're doing some adventure racing.
I,
Is that
I
right?
started adventure racing 20 years ago.
Yeah, cool. So I've started coaching people who do like coast to coast. I don't know if you know the New Zealand one. So it's sort of like
Well, there's
you
a coast to
race.
coast here, well, in Michigan.
Okay. So this one's like in the South Island and you race across like you run across a mountain pass and then kayak through a gorge and then cycle a bit. And yeah, it's a 2 day kind of multi-sport event.
Okay, so it's like a 36 or like a 48-hour kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of more like so some people do what's called God Zone, which is like inflatable rafts and all of that stuff. And this one's more of like I guess you'd call it like multi-sport adventure racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't adventure race anymore.
Yeah.
Like we did, like I raced into the state, like in the States. And my husband was a big adventure racer. He went over to like Switzerland and Ireland and he raced over
Wow.
there. But we did like 6 days, eight
Okay.
days,
Yeah.
8 day races.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the last one I did was in Utah. It was a 10-day race.
Do
It
you see
was
many snakes?
insane. Huh?
Any snakes?
Maybe one.
Okay.
I think we saw one.
We don't have any snakes here. So whenever I hear about like backcountry America, I'm like, oh gosh, there's so many
Well,
snakes.
this was like desert in July.
Oh
That's like the
man.
mid of your summer. Like
Jeez.
you couldn't even move. It was so hot. It was
Yeah.
it was insane. I remember that race so vividly compared to some others. Like it was just epic, like from start to finish. But and then I'm like, I'm done.
Do you still do the like the is it like fitness modeling, like the body sculpting stuff?
No, I last one I did was 2017. I did
Because that
that for
stuff's
20.
pretty intense, right?
Yeah. I did that to it was funny because I did my first one in 2004 and it was like one of my friends who's a trainer is like, so you should do it, you should do it, you should do it. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I got my like skinniest. Like
Yeah.
out of all my competitions, I went down to 118 pounds. Like
Oh, yeah.
like I'm 130 all the time, but
Oh
like
man.
chiseled yeah, I was just like when I look back at that I'm like wow, I was like so skinny.
It's
But
really restrictive, right? The eating, because I've got a friend who's doing it at the moment, and it's so.
it depends where you start. Depends how good you are with your nutrition and where you start. Like, you do have to be restrictive because it is part of the process of leaning down. And but then like nowadays there's new ways of leaning down, like you're not so rigid. But really, yeah, there's healthier ways of doing it now.
Okay, that's good.
It depends on who you're training with.
How competitive it gets.
Yeah. And so I used to use those as a way to train and get lean for my cycling season.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
so I didn't really do it for that. I was like, okay, I train all through the winter in the gym because I hated going to the gym.
Yeah.
And I would train on my bike. And so I would compete in like April or May. So that's the beginning of our season. And then I would just go right into race season. So I was leaner, I was stronger, like, and I was like, hey, this works. So I did that for many years. Like, just
oh my God. Yeah, cycling's a different beast with the whole weight thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you do, yeah. I mean, like, you don't want to get too skinny and like lose a lot of your muscle. Like, that's the whole point, right? Trying to put muscle on during the winter and get stronger over the winter.
Yeah.
You have so you build a little bit every year. Yeah, it was fun while it lasted. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Next.
Yeah. I'm like, and then I hung up my bike for a couple of years to see how I could really go, like, do in my competitions. And so I made it to national stage twice for bikini and figure. So that's two different physiques.
Yeah. Wow.
And then I had my worst competition was my last one. Yeah. I was just not on par. Like, you have to be really, that is a really like a timing thing.
Okay.
Like, for being lean and just the right nutrition, the right water, like, so that everything comes together on stage day. And if you are off and it happens to be that, you're bloated and everything on stage, it happens, right? Like, when you're anyways, okay, so we're not even trying to wake up here.
Nice. Okay, wake.
I know. Okay. All right. So what I would love to talk about is, I'm going to ask you like how you got into cycling, and then how it led you to being an event. Oh, you're an event organizer too. So am I.
Cool.
Just like
on Zwift, not in real life.
Oh, well, that's even I think more challenging. I don't know. Maybe let's talk about that. Cool. And being a commentator, a producer, a team manager. Oh, that's for Team Riot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Aeonian.
Nice, cool.
Carla.
Yes, Carla. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like,
she's awesome.
Hands down to you girls for that world is like.
Wow. She's great. Yeah, we worked on one of the race series together. It was really cool. They were really good. I like Carla.
Yeah, she's really on it.
Yeah.
And then, commentating with Nathan and your mom, and you're an Ironman athlete. So let's just
see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll just see where it goes. So I'll just open it up. I'll just do a little intro here, and then I'll just ask you how you got into cycling, and then we'll go from there.
Cool.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Secrets in the Saddle, All Things Cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie Doe, sitting here in Chelsea, Quebec, Canada. And I have the amazing Anna Russell, who is sitting in New Zealand. So you guys, you can imagine that trying to put this episode together or this interview, both of us are are sitting in our pajamas. This is like 5 a.m. for me and 9 p.m. for her. And no, you're not going to see this on YouTube video because this is going to be recorded you're not going to see us. Yeah, you're not going to see us physically, unfortunately, just because, well, my eyes are still half open, but but we're going to get this done for you guys because Anna was referred to me for the podcast from Nathan Guerrera, and I just we just had to make this work. I didn't realize she was in New Zealand, and her probably that I was in Canada. But anyways, this is the lovely part about being online and on Zoom that we could do this. So I am super, super excited to have her because when I was reading her bio, we have a lot of things in common. And she's a mom of 3. So Anna Russell, she's an event organizer. I'm an event organizer. She's a commentator. I'm not a commentator. Producer. She is the team manager for Team Riot on Zwift. So if you're a female and you're into racing on Zwift, you might recognize that team name, or maybe you seen them riding around virtually. She's a racer for the online platform Zwift. She's also a previously raced professionally in Ironman triathlons. See,
there we go.
I haven't had my coffee yet. And she's a mom of 3. And also in her bio here, she says that she trains adventure racers. So I used to be an adventure racer. So Anna, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to really dive in and talk about all these things that we have in common.
Hello, Sylvie. And I have to say that, like I said to you before we went live, you look amazing for 5 a.m. You come on. I'm like, oh man, I've got, a semblance of makeup, and I look at you, I'm like, nah, if I look like that at 5 a.m, it would be a dream.
What are you talking about? I'm all squinty. I'm like, and I woke up at 4, of course, because you're like, and then the mind keeps racing. I'm like, Sylvie, go back to sleep for about half an hour. And I'm like, well, maybe I could get up and put some makeup on. I don't know about that, but I did dye my hair last night for you, Anna. Can you see that?
That could be it. That does look
That's
very
why it
nice.
looks so bad.
And I've had a horrific haircut that I got my boys a quick haircut before school starts. And I was like, just give me 10 minutes. Can you just quickly cut my hair? And it's all jagged and the wrong length. So
no,
there we go. And I do not go to a very cheap 4-year-old hairdresser to have a haircut.
That is noted, because I was like, I'm gonna dye my hair and then I'm gonna go and get my hair cut, take my daughter over there before her school starts.
There we go.
We'll definitely be going into the city.
Yeah, I would highly recommend that. But yeah, the adventure racing side of things, I mean, your adventure racing sounds very hardcore. It's the long kind of 6-7 day type stuff. But here in New Zealand, we have an adventure race that's been going on for years and years and years called Coast to Coast. And it's people racing on road bikes on a bit of road, but then doing a beautiful mountain run over Arthur's Pass, which is just stunning. You can actually drink from all the rivers. It's just mountain water. It's beautiful. And then you do a kayak through the gorge. So I've coached quite a few people for that one now, as well as Ironman athletes and just sort of general people getting into triathlon as well. So yeah, I've been coaching for about 12 years now, which is really nice. I really like it.
Wow. So are you coaching them for the complete course, like all the disciplines, or is it just the cycling part?
So all of it. So I'm actually not.
Have you done it?
I don't know if this is blasphemous to say. I'm not really a cyclist. I cycle virtually. I'm a triathlete, so I guess I was on a bike. But I would definitely not class myself as a cyclist, but I do coach them in the cycling portion. And I coach them in the running portion. My background's in track and cross-country running. Okay. And then the kayaking, I usually will send them to a specialist for technique and then just give them sort of what they need to do to get their endurance up. It's about a 5 to 6 hour kayak, so it's long.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was telling Anna my last adventure race that I did was in 2006. It was in Utah in July. So if anybody knows about, the weather patterns here in the United States, that you don't want to be in the desert in July. You shouldn't be. And it was a
Yeah.
10-day race, and it was the most epic race I've ever been on. And after that, I just retired. I'm like, I'm kind of out now. Like, forget this.
Yeah, I mean, that's next level. That kind of sounds like bad water, kind of ultra running territory, in my opinion. And I can
Yeah.
see, I mean, that's gonna demolish your body, right? A few times doing that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I can see why you'd exit that one pretty quick.
Yeah. Speaking of kayaking, there's one race that I did, and it was at least 10 hours. It was in
Oof.
Newfoundland through a gorge.
Wow.
And
Okay.
okay, Anna, so have you kayaked? Do you
Yeah.
kayak?
I wouldn't say I have kayaked in some adventure
Yeah.
races. Yeah, not probably like a gorge in Newfoundland though.
Well, I'm sure a gorge anywhere is like, there's nowhere to get off,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're in your kayak. So can you imagine, like, you having to go to the bathroom? I'm just
You
so
just pee in your kayak, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just pee in your kayak, in your wetsuit, in your kayak.
yeah, yeah.
And my teammates who are guys, like, so I don't know about your disciplines, but you always have to have one female or one male. So there can be a
Yeah,
mix. And so the guys are just peeing over the side, right? And
yeah.
I'm just like paddling. He's like, how can you be going so fast, Sylvia? I'm like, I just want to get out of this fucking kayak. I'm just sitting in my urine for like 10 hours. I'm like,
Oh. See, like, have you done Ironman racing before? Because you always pee on
No.
the bike. You always pee on the bike when you're doing Ironman. So it's just like peeing in the
Okay.
kayak would be nothing.
I don't know if I could ever urinate on the bike. Like, let myself do that. Because you have
Oh,
to be
yeah. Ironman racing,
really.
you got to do, yeah. If you want to like win, it's kind of what you got to do.
Ew.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
Well,
But
yeah.
you're
I
also
guess.
not in a pack, right? So you're just alone. It's non-drafting. It's like a time trial.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're not going to sort of, inadvertently spray someone else. So you'll be okay. You're sort of just on your own.
Well, yeah. So it's not like you're the Tour de France and like
No,
peeing off to the
exactly.
side. All right,
Yeah.
and so before we're getting right into it, but
Yeah.
let's backtrack. And how did you get into cycling? And everybody, what we're going to be really talking about is the whole online virtual Swifting part that Anna does, which I just got into in the last 2 years, and I find absolutely fascinating. Um, and just the whole racing part, because I told myself last year, I said, I want to get on a race team because I want to race. I used to race bikes outside,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I just want to do this inside. So I got onto a team, and then it just opened up this whole
Mm,
world,
yeah.
virtual world, that was just mind blowing. So Anna, how did you get into cycling, which is obviously going to bring you through your triathlon, but then how did you find yourself in Zwift and as a commentator and
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I guess it's an interesting journey. I mean, I started doing triathlons probably when I was about 26, so about sort of 12 years ago. Um, and I just, yeah, I was never a cyclist. Like I said, I have a TT bike, and that's about it. That was what I was training on. That's what I raced on. I think I did one cycle race, or maybe like a borrowed bike, and it was okay. It was very male dominated, I'd have to say. So
Hmm.
what I really liked, yeah, what I really
Still
liked
is.
about triathlon, yeah, is all races were equal prize money. I mean, I raced professionally around the world, and there was so much, equality in triathlon for women and men. And I didn't really see the same in cycling. I kind of, from an outsider looking in, I don't know what it's like in the States or Canada, but in New Zealand, it seemed very steeped in tradition, which is good. But I don't think all fares so well for women. I mean, how long has it been since we've had a Tour de France femme, right? We've got one starting in a few days. I know we had one in like 1984, but that's a long time between drinks, right? So I kind of, I don't really get into cycling. I loved triathlon. I love running. So that was really great. But then decided to have a family. And sort of when I was pregnant with my second son, my husband was like, like, let's get a treadmill at home so I can, keep up the running while he's sleeping. And then he's like, you should try Zwift running. And he'd been on Zwift right from the beta, right from the beginning. And I got onto Zwift Run, and it was quite fun to do workouts, but all I saw around me was these cyclists going back and forward. I was like, this is cool. What is this? So I ended up getting a trainer and jumping on. This was probably like 2019. And like, boom, hooked. Like the first ride I did was a group ride with Swedish Swifters. And there was like this female leader, and it wasn't a female ride. She was just there, and she was so supportive and awesome. And I got off. I was like, this is like the best thing ever, because I couldn't race around the world anymore. I have a young family at home. It can be really isolating being a mom, like especially with really young kids, like just really isolating. You're sort of at home, you don't see many other adults. And then I found this, it opened up a world. And I think the penny really dropped. We'd had a rough time with my son. He was in hospital a bit, and I remember I was just exhausted, and I was like, I'm just going to get on the bike for like 10 minutes because I just feel terrible. I got on, and again, this group ride, amazing. This mom ended up sort of private messaging me and like being really supportive. I was like, this is it. Like, this is where I want to be. I'm on the other side of the world. We don't have like, in the States, there's like gravel races, it seems, every weekend, everywhere. I've had some training partners, tragically die on road accidents, riding their bikes. I don't really want to go out on the road. There's a lot for me or everyone to lose, in that situation. So I just, I completely embraced it. And I just have a huge passion for what it does for women in cycling, to the point that I mean, I have never been a cyclist, but I am thinking now I wouldn't mind doing maybe a cycle race, in the real world. It would be super fun. But yeah, the Zwift community and the online community is, it's my huge passion. I love it.
So let me ask you, because I haven't done any, like jumped into any group rides per se on Zwift. And I'm always wondering, how does everybody keep messaging and ride at the same time? Because I'm so focused, my hands on the handlebars, like trying to keep up. And I know you're all tethered together because we're all in draft mode, but how do you do it? Like, how does that social part come in? That is something I haven't been able to figure out. Like when we race, we're on Discord, so we're all talking. Yeah. And I get that.
Yeah. But so I think, like the group rides, like today I was doing some of the Watch the Femmes rides, and I don't know, I've got a keyboard in front of me. I'll occasionally just type a little message or something, but I do find if I'm focused on it too much, I'll get dropped and then have to kind of chase back up. Be like, whoopsie, I'm getting like way too on the social side of this. But yeah, I mean, our race team's on Discord. That's probably the funnest part. Like your team would do the Zwift Racing League as well. I mean, we'd be on Discord chatting. Literally the race was just chit-chatting about everything. And then we'd be like, oh, we should probably go for this. Let's go, get these points. And then afterwards, I mean, after the last race, I think we were on the call for another hour, just chit-chatting. And today we're like messaging, being like, man, we really miss each other. We can't wait to like get back on it. So yeah, Discord's the best. I mean, there's me in New Zealand, another New Zealander, Irish, about 3 Canadians and 3 Americans. So, I mean, it's a cosmopolitan team, which is great.
Yeah, no, I love that, because like I joined the Aeonian team, and I was surprised at how, like, the whole process of getting onto a team, because you are vetted, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
interviewed, and I was just like, wow, because you can't
Yeah.
just. Well, I'm assuming, like, some teams, I'm sure you could just jump on and
Yeah.
just do whatever. But this was extremely organized, which I love. I'm like, I just just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm here to learn, yeah, having Discord on there, and like a lot of us. So my teammates are all UK based,
Yeah.
so all 5 hours ahead. And then she started developing or finding an American or Canadian East Coast
Yeah.
team,
Nice.
so we're all on the same time zone. And which makes it easier, because then we're racing all at 7 p.m., which I prefer almost in the afternoon now, because like 7 finishes off at 9, like
Yeah. Yeah.
7:30, and you're just like, and then you're
I
trying to go to
know.
bed.
Yeah. Have you done a late race? I remember I did a race
How
series.
late? Like 7:30 is my latest.
Oh, this race started at 10 o'clock my time at night,
Oh
and I
my
was
God.
finished at like midnight. It was a fun series, but wow, I had to sort of sink some caffeine later in the day to stay up for that one. It
Or
was crazy.
nap a couple
Yeah.
times over. I'm like, don't wake
Oh,
me up. Don't
oh,
wake me
naps. Yeah, no way with the kiddos wouldn't let me do that. But man, it's you just ride. I mean, that's the other thing, right? Is like I ride mostly when they're asleep. So I'll be riding anytime
Mhm.
after sort of 7:30 at night or anytime before 6 in the morning. And you can jump on and race, right? You can't really race at those times in the real world, right?
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That I can't believe you're up earlier. But however, I was trying to get some training in at 5. And a couple
Yeah.
times it worked. Like, everything has to be perfectly set up
Mm-hmm.
for me to come down, jump in my shorts, get on my bike, get everything started. And it worked. I got in a good, hour and a half.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I prefer nighttime because then like, because what I don't want to do is get up in the morning, do something really hard from like 5 till 7:30, and then I don't know, one of the kids gets sick or something, and then you're already exhausted. Then you're trying to like, function. It's like, oh, this isn't going to work. So nighttime is the best. I've definitely found that is good.
Well, how old are your kids?
They are 5, 3, and 10 months.
Ooh, got a young one. Well,
Yeah.
mine are older. I have a 19-year-old, but she's not with me. She's with her dad, and a 10 and 11-year-old. So they're
Oh,
very
yeah.
self-sufficient now.
Oh, tell me they get to that phase. I'm sort of
No, no,
like,
no. You have
I'm
to
right in the
create
trenches,
them.
right?
You have to create start giving them the 5-year-olds, start giving them little tasks. Tell them, like, explain everything that you're doing so they understand. And then, like breakfast, get them
Okay. Yeah.
independent. And then once they start going to school, I mean, later on, making their lunch, and breakfast is a big one. So
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
not sitting there waiting for you, like, well, there's the fridge,
I know.
there's
Yeah. I mean,
cereal.
I've set this like sun clock thing for them tonight. And I'm like, when the sun comes up at 6:15, you can come and wake mummy. Do not
Oh,
come
that
in
was a
at
good
5
one.
in the morning. Do not come in at
Uh-huh.
5 in the morning. Yeah.
I'm
Although
like,
it's hard to say no when they come in and they're like, Mom, come watch the Tour de France. I'm like, okay, let's go watch the Tour de France
oh,
then.
oh, well, that's a good one. But
Yeah.
yeah, I used to say, don't wake mommy up unless if the door is closed. You just like,
Yeah. Let
still
us sleep.
sleeping. And she would wake me
Exactly.
by the door.
Oh, that's so cute. That's so good. Okay, I
But then
need
I
to
got to
get
sleep,
onto
so it's
that.
all good.
Nice. Okay.
And our kids now, I mean, it's been our kids, okay. They're like 10, 11, and they're always up at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Always. Doesn't matter. Saturday, Sunday, up
Oof,
at
yeah.
6. They're downstairs. Like, they get their breakfast, they sit and watch the tube or something, and we roll out of bed. Well, everybody, but it's just amazing how they haven't started sleeping in, because I really don't want to have to deal with that. Maybe this will go on
I mean, getting up
Whatever.
early is kind of okay, right? I mean, are
It's good.
they, yeah, I think it's good. It's sort of, I get up early. I don't know. I don't want to waste much of the day. I want to see all
I'm
the
like that
sunlight I
too.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. But so let's talk about how you got, so you found Swift, and then how it how you got into being an event, or well, okay, I guess let's back it. You found Swift, and then when did you decide to put together a team, which I imagine would have led to the event organizing and then becoming a commentator?
Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's,
exciting.
yeah, that's the fun part, I reckon. So I guess what happened was, like everyone, we hit the pandemic, right? So
Mhm. Yeah, oh yeah.
I contract to Triathlon New Zealand. So we hit the pandemic. We'd kind of been dabbling a little bit in like what could esport do for triathlon in the winter months, because it's a really summer-based sport and the community kind of doesn't come together that much in the winter. So we'd kind of
Mhm.
been dabbling in a little bit of esport. Then the pandemic hit, and I'd been doing some streaming of my own racing. And I was like, actually, instead of streaming my racing, why don't I just run some events and stream them live and commentate them? So within a day, I'd kind of set this up with the CEO of Try and Z, who was great. It was like, oh, just do it. It'll be give it a try.
Better you than me.
Well, yeah. What else can we do? Everyone, all of our Olympic athletes had to come home, so there were people who had to keep training. So we ended up having this event series. Each event probably had about 700 to 800 New Zealanders on it, which was
Wow.
massive. And then it probably like about 7,000 people across the country were watching each stream. It went on the national news like 3 times. So it was like, boom, insane. And I was like, this is great. It was awesome, just the feedback I was getting from people who, again, like isolated at home, didn't have that connection,
Mhm.
could come on and just have this awesome racing. So we just did our 3rd year of that series. So it's a 6-week series. And then from that, I saw that Martin from WTRL was organizing the Zwift Racing League. So I just cold messaged Nathan and was like, hi, if you need a co-commentator, I'd be super keen. And he said, actually, yeah, that would be great. And Nathan and I gel super well. Like we're both really
Oh my God, he's
enthusiastic.
so fun.
Yeah, he's awesome. And we both have a huge passion for it. So we talk a lot when we're commentating together. So it's been amazing. And then, yeah, just started doing the ZRL stuff. So I was doing sort of a Tuesday night. I'd go to bed at like 11, sleep on the couch, wake up at about 4:30 and do the morning commentary. And
Oh,
yeah, it was,
holy crazy.
yeah, went all in. And yeah, now do some commentary and production work for Australia Cycling as well. So just wrapped up their elite series last night. Yeah, so it's been a blast. Do some of the production for the Asia Pacific region for Nathan. I know he mentioned that on your podcast, so he doesn't have to get up at 3 a.m. anymore. I can kind of step in and
But
do
he's
some of
happy about
that.
that, contracted out to
Oh,
you.
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so it's just kind of grown from there. As far as the race team goes, that's kind of totally separate from all of this side of things. So the race team Riot, man, when did that started? Maybe like 2 years ago. And it was just a bunch of us being at the time the Premier League, which I raced for Saris, no pins, the women's prem team. The time
Okay.
zone, yeah, the time zone just didn't really work for the Canadians and the New Zealanders. Like it was a really odd time. So we just couldn't do it. So we're like, oh, let's just start a sort of offshoot. And now Riot is, I think, the most winning team in the community. And we just honestly have such a blast together. It's just the best team.
So do you take applications for your team as well?
No,
Like,
we're
or do you
just
just have a core team?
no, we just got the 8 girls, and that's us. If one leaves, they'll usually have a friend who might want to come, but no, we have a lot of interest, but that's us.
Yeah, 8 is good.
Yeah.
Because I know with with Aeonian, I think there's like 90.
Yeah, I couldn't manage that. That's like a full-time job.
Yeah. Well, there's teams in A to D, and then there's teams within D. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like And then there's the European teams and the North American teams. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. But
And
I
the
know
chatter
like
that
I am so over the winter I race for NZ Bro, which is like the New Zealand team.
mhm.
And that's the same. There's like 350 members, and there's like a Discord text channel, which is, I mean, if I look now, there's probably like
Oh
30
my
messages.
God.
It's like, it's insane. So, but that's a fun team. And then Sarah Snowpins, that's a premier team. So you kind of, you make it onto the team after you've done like certain power numbers. And,
Okay.
it's very much like performance based, I guess, to get onto
Yeah, I would
that kind of
imagine.
team. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're going to be in the Premier League, you got to be putting out some big numbers for sure, which
Yeah, I
is
mean,
not mine.
oh, it's I mean, it's a great goal. I remember sort of being pregnant with my third and looking at Liz Van Helding, who's on our team, her power profile. I was like, okay, that's the goal. I'm gonna get as close to that as I can. So it's been fun. It gets you fit and it keeps you motivated, which is what you need, right?
Well, that's what I'm finding and what I'm thinking now, like as I'm riding and training outside. It wouldn't be a bad thing to have a bit of indoor training on the schedule as well for
Mm,
more set in, like, well, you're going out and you're gonna go do hill repeats or intervals somewhere or speed work. And I'm like, God, wouldn't it just be better to just do it
yeah,
inside because it's very structured. You don't have to worry about the weather, you don't have to worry
yeah,
about the road, and you can just get it done
yeah,
in like 30 to 40
yeah.
minutes.
I mean, it's very controlled, right? So with all my athletes, I'll have them do indoor training during the week just because it's easy when you're working, right? So you work, you
Right.
jump home, like you get home, you just jump on the trainer. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
go riding in the dark. And then in the weekend is when they get outside, right? Because
Yeah.
they can just pick when they go. But I think it's from what I've seen, I just had a couple of athletes do FTP tests tonight actually, and they had good results from them. And I think the indoor training for sure has a place with that controlled environment, especially on a smart trainer as a coach. I
Yeah.
mean, you lock in what their power needs
Yeah.
to be, and they don't have a choice. That's the power that they have to hit. So
Yeah.
it's from a coaching point of view, I like it. It keeps it a very controlled way and very, very efficient.
Yeah. And you can't just, leave after X number of intervals. I don't think I'll do my 5. I'll just do 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Call it a
And
day. You're like,
exactly.
no, you got to finish the
Yeah,
whole segment.
yeah, yeah. That's for sure. Get that tick, right?
So you do not, oh, you say, so you are completely retired from the Ironman world now.
Um, I mean, I qualified for the world champs, which was supposed to be like 2 years ago, but didn't happen. And now they're in 2 years. So they delayed it. So it's kind of
Oh,
meant it's meant that I've kind of had to stick with the swimming a bit. Swimming's probably the one I don't like the most because of the early starts and it's cold. And
mhm.
but yeah, so I don't race professionally in it, but I still like it. I've still got a lot of love for the sport and I like the community. So I get out there as
Mhm.
much as I can. But it's a bit tricky sometimes when the kids are quite little, it's a whole weekend away, but yeah,
Yeah.
once they're a bit bigger, I want to get us all involved in it again.
Need help creating the online business you've been dreaming about? Well, it's a good thing you're here because that's exactly what we're going to help you with. Hi, I'm Sarah Jansel, a friend and colleague of Sylvie's. I have over 20 years helping build and grow businesses, and today I help people do that on Shopify. If you want to build an online store, redesign one you have, set up email marketing, or just need some coaching or custom work, we can help you with that. Our goal is to help you sell more of the amazing products and services that you want to share with the world. I believe the world would be a better place if more people could build awesome businesses they love. So to help you get started with yours, today you're going to save $150 off a new store or a redesigned store. It's available for a limited time only, and all you have to do to take advantage of this is pop over to www.janselandco.com/services. That's JANSELAND.co/services. And let us know you heard this amazing podcast to get your quote and $150 off today.
Oh yeah. So I find, and maybe, what you just said, that, things have been postponed so much. And I see this in a lot of my friends who are like, yeah, I have to use this. I have to go and, compete somewhere, but I just don't feel like it anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that
Yeah.
drive has just kind of died, over
Yeah.
2 years trying to keep up your fitness
Yeah.
to go and compete. And now, like, there's just, when it kept on being pushed and pushed, and now they're just like, ugh, I don't even care about,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I'd say, I don't know how you found it. I found being a coach during the pandemic very challenging to keep people motivated because we all train for a goal. Like,
mhm,
and it was a lot of, I'm very much sort of the belief you need to keep this process orientated rather than goal orientated. So, the
yeah,
process is you're fit, you're healthy, you're, finding out more about yourself, you're becoming a better person along the way. And I think it kind of forced that a bit more because the goal wasn't there anymore. So it made people
yeah,
question, why am I doing this? And, it was some challenging talks with athletes during that time to say, well, there is a reason you're doing this outside of just that event. I
right.
remember one of our Olympians who's won like so many gold medals in the kayaking. She was interviewed before the Tokyo Olympic Games or the London, and she said, they said, what are your top 5 goals for the Olympic Games? And she was like, well, getting a medal isn't even in the top 5. Like, my number one goal is to become a better person throughout the process of this. And I was like, wow, like that's it, right? Like
Wow.
she focused on becoming a better person, and the positive consequence was she got a gold medal. And I think when people get too wrapped up in just that hard goal, you kind of
Hmm.
you go a bit off course a little bit, because sometimes that hard goal is totally out of your control, like all these events getting cancelled, or you get injured, or you have a bike
Yeah.
mechanical, so
Yeah.
there's got to be more to it, right?
Oh, for sure. And of course, and I always find like the, post event, like, what are you going to do? Like, who are you? Where,
Yeah.
like, what's the next thing that is on the agenda? And sometimes, like, you just can't be set up your life like that. Like,
No.
what's next? What's next? Oh, I'm going to do all these things, all summer. And that's all I'm focused on is like riding, 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 like seeing your friends or spending time with family. And it's just like that year after year. It's like, when does that stop? And you
Yeah.
actually like enjoy life, enjoy what
Yeah.
you're doing, right? Like you like the bike
Yeah. And I
and
think, yeah, it's a lot of things I talk with athletes about. A couple of them is, one is, this is what you do, but it's not who you are. And I think that's where you get into
yeah,
problem. If you wrap up, like you said, your whole identity with this, and then if you get injured, well, you're going to be on a slippery slope to some pretty big mental health problems, because you've now wondering who you are without this, right? So you've got
yeah.
to have that detachment. The other thing I talk a lot about is the difference between winning and succeeding. So, I coach athletes for Ironman racing. I mean, that takes a huge amount of training, a huge amount of sacrifice. But
Hmm.
I said, is it better that you hit your goal time, the winning part, but you cross the finish line, you've got no family around you, you don't have any friends there, you just cross the line alone? Or is it about succeeding, which is maybe you didn't hit the goal time, but you've got all your friends and family there and they're supporting you and all your relationships are intact and you've still got a
Yeah,
job, like I think
yeah.
sometimes we get wrapped up so much in that goal, we lose everything else.
Yeah, and then you get injured, and then where are you by
Yeah,
yourself? And yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. I find that, actually I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine who in the day, well, okay, so maybe 5 to 10 years, he was like the national championship champ and all these things. And he's just like, I'm like, because we did a gravel race, a bunch of us 2 weekends ago. And I was like, well, what did you think? He goes, well, I just feel, like I have to perform because I'm this person. And I'm like, well, that's a weird way of thinking.
Yeah.
Like, you're coming to a fun event, and I was just thinking about it afterwards. I'm like, man, like, people don't even know who you are. So why are you
Yeah.
putting all that,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because this is a gravel world. Nobody knows who a
Yeah.
national champion time trialist is.
Yeah.
If you go into the cycling world and the road world, then he's someone over there.
But
You come
like, in
over,
all honesty as well, though, right? Like, no one gives a shit.
I know.
Like,
Well,
you know what I mean?
I was just sort of sitting there going, it's pretty like presumptuous of you that people think and expect you to perform because you used to be this great athlete. I mean, there's lots of athletes that come back and, like think of Lance Armstrong, George Hincapie, like they just go and they have fun and they participate and, they're not going out there to win because they used to be winners.
Yeah.
They're going for the experience.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, I kind of thinking about it a bit weirdly.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Not really.
I think that sometimes I know that I have that sometimes with athletes. I have to have the chat, if they say, "Oh, what is everyone going to think of me if this?" I'm like, to be honest, everyone's got their own shit going on.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, they don't care. The only people who care how I perform are my family, and only for the prime reason to make sure that I'm healthy and safe. Like my mum would just worry the whole time I was on the bike course that I was going to crash. So she cares from that point of view, but whether I came first or I came 100th, they're just like, yay, great job. So it's kind of, yeah, just don't get wrapped up in results. It's just a slippery slope to some bad things.
Yeah. So tell us about what is going on in Zwift world for this year. Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I've got any inside intel. I know Nathan and I are launching a show actually.
What? Oh, let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
this is going on actually. I got a little bit inspired when I listened to Nathan on your podcast and then saw that you do 3 podcasts a week. I was like, holy shit. I'm
rethinking of that, and I'm like, if I went down to 2, do you think people notice?
It's crazy that I kind of thought I've always wanted to do one for years, and I've just never kind of figured out what to do it on. Then I said to Nathan, we should just do one on Zwift stuff. Like,
Oh God,
yeah. So it's actually coming out this Friday. So my time. So it could be Thursday, your time. We're going to launch the first one and give it a shot. But I guess that's coming up. There's a lot of, I guess there's a lot up in the air in the whole esport world at the moment, right? I mean, Zwift has had some huge changes,
Yeah, I'm not like loving the platform.
Yeah,
Like
I'd say
the new changes, I'm like, no, it was really simple before. We don't need
yeah.
to change and like have to
things.
scroll down. And I'm like,
I know. I think like just even in general, we had the pandemic, esport and everything, smart bikes, all that whole industry went berserk, like crazy. And now everyone's loving being back with people and at events and out there. So I guess esport now has to find where do they fit, right? And are they actually still growing? Where is this going? And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in Zwift. Like I'd be really interested, and I have no inside intel as to what the season, the esports season will look coming up for your guys' winter.
Yeah, so it's funny because esports is so streamlined online, and every country, I would say, has their seasons, right? So like all of us, like everybody that I bike with, we were all online together.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And now we're all outside together. And then in November, we'll be all back online together. So just expecting that they're going to have seasons.
Yeah.
Just like every other, and like your season's different from my season. So you'll have, is that what you're talking about? Like they're
I think they're just trying to land at what
expect they're going to have a lull.
Yeah,
at some point in Canada, in the United States, in certain parts, and then a high. Everybody gets back on. But I did notice that they, when I went to, so I shut off my my membership, which you can defer, you can shut it down for
Yeah.
the summer. They would only let me do it for 2 months. I'm like, oh, you guys are getting smart now.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
can't just do it
there's
until I'm ready to come back on.
Oh, exactly. I mean, there's a lot going on. This is going pretty, big, but globally, I mean, inflation, interest rates, all that stuff is kind of coming to hit, right? And what's the
Mhm.
first thing you start to look at? It's your discretionary spend. So, what's it going to look like if people start going, actually, I don't need that smart trainer. Actually, I probably don't need Zwift or
Mm.
another platform. I'll just get on my bike and save that money. So I think that's what we're seeing with a lot of, I mean, Wahoo merged with RGT. In my opinion, the best thing I could see going forward, but this is just my opinion, is Zwift merging with a platform like Trainer Road. Like we were talking about before with structured workouts. I think Zwift's got a bit of a blind spot there. I don't think the workouts are, amazing. And I think if you merged with something like a Trainer Road, you're sort of giving people what they would probably do all year, which is some structured workouts during the week. And then when they come into a season, you've got the social element. So I would love to see something like that, but who knows?
So how different is Trainer Road to Zwift? Because I've never been on it. And I think Trainer Road has more like their virtual platform of their rides are realistic.
No, so that's more like
No, that's Ruby.
Ruby and Sufferfest. Yeah. Trainer Road has there's no avatars. So it's it's purely so they've got adaptive training. They just have an extremely good workout platform. So basically you go on and based on all your power profiles, all your past sort of exercise, your workouts, you go on. And it's like, based on all of this history, we would suggest this workout today would be the best for you. So it's very, I guess it's kind of like an online coach kind of scenario, right? So I've got a couple of athletes who use it and I quite like it just for that very scientific approach to just jumping on and it's telling you this is probably the best thing you can do today with where you're wanting to go and where you're at.
Oh, that is really interesting. I did not realize that. I thought it was very similar to Zwift.
No, so there's no like social element, which is why I would never just use it because it's purely just workouts. And then Zwift is great for the social elements and the racing and the clubs and all of that. So that's why I kind of see them working nicely together. But yeah.
Cool. So what is your agenda for, okay, well, you're in the winter. So I guess you're in the thick of online racing right now. No?
Not really. No. So like you said, the Zwift season is a Northern Hemisphere winter. So there's not a lot going on. There's no Zwift racing league. There's not like Riot and Saris. We're all on a summer break, even though I'm in winter.
Okay. So everybody's kind of like off the racing. Because I know some of the girls on my team are still in there. Obviously there's still stuff going on.
Oh, there's still stuff. It's just not to that, degree. So I'll go on. Like I raced yesterday, but it was just a fun little race that I did with no team. It was just go and race a bit.
Right. Yeah. You just jump into like, okay, I'll jump.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Oh, that's in 10 minutes. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not a lot on the Zwift side of things, other than I just go on there and keep fit and try and do my Canadian friends set me some pretty crazy workouts to try and go get and do and get the 1 minute power up. So yeah, that's pretty fun. And then, kind of getting ready for doing some triathlons in the summer alongside the Zwift racing.
Oh, very nice. So actually, I want to go back and let's talk about the show you're doing with Nathan. Talk about that.
Okay. This is kind of like
since it's going to be launched
right?
like this week. Let's talk about
I know,
that.
in like 2 days. I mean, it's kind of like everything with Nathan and I. It's sort of like me messaging him on Discord. What do you think about a podcast live YouTube show? He's like, yeah, I'm in. Cool. Okay. So It's
Fabulous, damn.
yeah, me sort of frantically then looking at like, Googling, how do you upload a video and make it a podcast? Yeah, we just want to sort of talk. I mean, we both, what it's like when you love something, you can talk about it for ages. And there's a whole lot of cool stuff going on in the community. And we're both loving that the Tour de France avec Zwift for the FEM is coming up soon. I think that's just bloody awesome. Like, I think that is probably the one thing that has made me a hugely loyal customer of Zwift, is the fact that they put money in for 4 years to support the Tour de France and Strade Bianche. So that kind of, Nathan and I kind of got chatting about that. We want to talk through those kind of things. I love Zwift fashion, like what the avatars look like. When I'm on a ride, I'm always like, how does that person look? Oh, that jersey's cool. Where'd they get that? So I want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I know.
Stuff,
where do they get that? And apparently you have to participate and get some
do
of these
some
things.
unlock stuff. Yeah. I know. I've always been like that. Even when I watch the Tour de France, I'm like, what is the best kit out there? That one looks great. That looks terrible. I just love sort of looking at what I love about the Tour de France is how everything is just perfectly matched, right? From their socks up to their helmets, like the green jersey, like it just, everything looks amazing. So yeah, we'll talk a bit about that new tech. So, I mean, as a project, I built a computer.
Oh yes,
a couple
I
of
saw
months
that
ago.
you were like revamping your pain cave.
Yeah, so we because this is my sanctuary away from the like craziness of children, and so we redid it all, so it's just nice and beautiful, and I love being down here. And as part of that,
you gonna come up for supper?
No. I'll be up in like a few hours.
Ready.
Yeah, exactly. So as part of that, I was like, I don't know. I felt like I'd sort of lost myself a bit in those, those crazy days when you've got a newborn. And so I was like, I just need a little project to just get my head back in the game. And so I built this computer, which I love.
Like literally built it?
Yeah. Yeah. Built a PC. So we'll talk a little bit about tech stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was, I'd like to say it was easier than I thought, but there were some parts that were quite hard. So it wasn't that easy.
What's the thing? You got this massive hard drive, so you can.
It's like it is built purely for Zwift. So and production. So it's like so overpowered. It's amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
That must have took a bit of like research.
Yeah, I had I called him my PC Yoda. It was a guy that I met on Zwift who, basically just said, okay, here's like everything you need. And if you get into heaps of trouble, just courier it, like FedEx it to me, and I'll build it and send it back. So I knew that there was like a parachute if it all went wrong, that there would be someone who could fix it for me. But no, I ended up doing it. It took about a week of nights just kind of going at it with a little head torch and stuff. But yeah, sound like such a geek.
So this is a tower. This is like a...
Yeah. It's a full PC tower. And it's got, the best part is it's got all, I'm looking at it now. It's got like all different colors on like 6 fans. So it's all like flashing really nice colors. Yeah.
Like I haven't seen a tower in like decades.
I know. Yeah. It's crazy, right?
It's to work.
Yeah. And then Nathan will just, he'll just bring his energy. We'll have guests on. So people from different teams talking about their communities. And when Zwift Race League is on, we'll sort of talk about, what were some really cool tactics we saw, individual riders, like how they're going, a bit of a wrap up. So it's called the wrap. So it's kind of like a wrap up of like the week of,
I love it.
Yeah. The week of like esport or just all things kind of in that realm.
So is it going to be once a week you're going to do it, or?
Yeah, we're going to aim for that.
Get on randomly, or?
No, it'll be, what is it, CDT, like Thursdays, 2 p.m. CDT.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your time, no?
No, what's CDT? That's
that's
Nathan's time. Central time.
Okay, yeah. So Nathan's in Central. Is he in Central?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So whatever that equates, it's not, I know it's like 7 a.m. for me, so it's not too bad.
Oh, well, you should get obviously a really good following for that because, like, how many people are on Swift? Like,
Yeah, well, hopefully we're
Yes.
just doing it for a bit of fun, right? Bit of a way to catch up and chat, and yeah, be good. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. I've might get some tips from you afterwards. I've never done the podcasting tech side, but I'm assuming there's a lot of podcasts. I can't imagine it's too difficult to
Well, I mean,
upload
you
it
got the
somewhere.
headset, you got the microphone. You're already like really halfway there. And I was actually going to talk to Nathan about how he kind of does his production for like because he uses OBS and
Yeah.
just the movement, but he's got like sounds like this big setup with cameras, right? And that's how he moves in and out of different spaces
Yeah,
um
yeah. So I've
online.
got, yeah, I'm like looking at the moment. I've got three PCs, one laptop, three screens, and two TV screens in this room.
Okay. See, I need to just move off of my laptop. But this
If
is
it
not where
works,
I
right?
work out. So like over there is my pain cave on the other side
Nice.
of my basement, the
Yeah.
wall. And that's where the TV is, the trainer is, the
Okay. Yeah.
table, the and everything kind of like migrates over there because you know you need everything
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
you're you need your
Yeah,
laptop, your
exactly.
TV, your iPad, your phone. You're like, I'm like, this is not cheap. Like people are like, I'm gonna save money and get on Swift. I don't need to train with anybody. I'm like, you think
Yeah.
that's cheap?
Wait. Yeah. You're
The
gonna,
membership is cheap.
yeah, and then you get sucked into all this stuff. But I mean, some of the girls on my team, we all sent a photo to each other of what our pain cave was. I mean, one of them, she was in Hawaii at the time. She had just this old laptop set up in some outdoor situation running off a generator with animals everywhere. Then one of the girls is in an
See, it
apartment
doesn't need to be
in, no,
complicated.
it doesn't. One's in
Just
an
need
apartment in
Wi-Fi.
New York, and it's like an iPad, not even in front of her, like an iPad on the side of her. I was like, how do you do this? Like you're looking to the side the whole time. So, yeah, I was like, okay, my setup is way too extreme. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, I know we could talk a lot because we were talking before about adventure racing and figure competitions because like Anna asked me those things, but we're gonna wrap it up. And I know having a hot flash here. Okay, why not? You're not 40 yet because you said you're
I'm
right.
40 in like 2 months.
Oh, you are. Oh,
Yeah.
well, Anna, get ready for the 40s. Okay.
Oh no.
You're already there. You're fit. You got your kids. Keep fit because when you turn 50,
No.
I'm 51, and like the changes that are coming about are like out of my control. And I'm like trying to navigate this.
Oh.
But I always say, like, because I coach and work with women over 40, because that is kind of the decade that things like can go really well or really bad, and you just want to keep your health up. It's
Okay.
like
I'll
you wanted
prioritize
to
that.
be there when you hit the 50s. But this has been amazing, and I really look forward to your podcast with Nathan. And everybody go back into my podcast and check out Nathan because he was just on it, which was an amazing interview that it lasted like an hour and a half. But
Yeah, he can talk.
yeah, he could talk. But you know, I mean, I've your background is amazing, and I'd love to have you on here, like probably mid-season, coming back, you know, and everything's rolling back again. We're all like online, and you're on the Premier racing because I just watched some of my teammates on there, and we were all like there cheering everybody. It is really a cool community to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the women are, sorry, I'll cut it. I know you want to wrap it up. The women are supportive online. I had this during the pandemic, some of the in real life pro racers came and raced with us on Zwift, and the vibe was kind of funny. Like it's a bit different in real life. There's a bit more sort of knocking people down a little bit sometimes. And they ended up saying like, wow, the online community is unbelievably supportive. So yeah, you're not wrong. It's kind of a little bit unique in that sense.
Yeah, because with our club, like so I race on a race team, like a Zwift race team, because I wanted to find one and I wanted to be on one because I wanted to race again. But also like I have a women's cycling club, and so we set up weekend events on Zwift. So just like we're riding outside, but we use instead of Discord, we do Facebook. We do a Facebook chat room, so we're all live. Actually, so it's funny, right? So you either got your phone or your iPad and you're live on Facebook chatting to each other, and then we're all together as avatars on
that's cool.
on Zwift, and it's really cool because we can actually see each other too, instead of just hearing each other.
That's cool. I've kind of thought about doing that, but man, I race ugly. Like I don't look pretty racing.
Oh, no, we are not racing. We are riding.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Yeah, racing's like you don't have time to talk. You know, you're like
no. Yeah, exactly.
no, not during racing. But like a Saturday group ride, right? We're
Okay,
like,
that's right.
So
yeah.
Today? What are you doing tomorrow?
Oh, I like that. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and then we're all tethered together, so nobody can get dropped, and
cool.
And so and it's nice because then you can and through the pandemic we could actually physically see each other and see how everybody's doing. So it's nice to look at someone, and just and have that conversation. And then we all, after 90 minutes, we just sign off, and it's just bye.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good way to do it. I like that.
Or you hang out and have coffee, and then the other thing is some of the girls who are not riding can actually pop in and just sort of hang out and
just say hi. Yeah.
And
I love it.
Yeah. And then there was one time where one of the girls organized 150K ride. So there's 12 of us who decided we're going to do this. So we start at 7:30 in the morning, and they were like, just pop in and support. So some people popped in at lunch and hey, how you doing? Or
that's actually cool. Yeah. Cause I'm trying to, actually I forgot one of the things I'm going to do this year is try and beat the New Zealand Everesting record. So I assume you know what Everesting is.
Yeah. I have not looked into that, but I was like,
Yeah. So I'm going to try and do the women's Everesting record of New Zealand. And I was like, man, I wonder if there's a way to kind of I'm doing it in real life. I was like, I wonder if I could just have my phone on, have Zwift going, have a bit of a community doing it at the same time. So I might try and do that, merge the sort of real world and virtual world like you've done with your club. It'd be quite cool.
Yeah, it was, because I guess that's the only thing we knew. Yeah. We're not on Discord or anything else. And because we have our Facebook group, we just made a Facebook event, and then there was a chat room in it. So anybody could just sort of jump in from the page and just say, hey, yeah. So it was kind of cool that way. And it made it more personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over, texting. And I'm like I said, I don't understand how anybody could ride and text at the same time.
And when you see people, like you said, you can check in, right? And be like, are they okay? They're looking a little bit gaunt, or are they they look a little bit sad. They just sort of check in on people.
Yeah. So you're everybody okay?
Yeah, exactly.
You get there? Have you drank enough?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, you can always do that virtual, well, not that actual check-in, just being a group ride leader. How's it doing back there?
Good. Yeah.
But all right, well, you've got lots of stuff going on, and now that I'm following you, and I know you, I feel sort of connected, and so I just want so where can everybody find you, Anna?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty rubbish on social media, I've got to say, but I am on
That's okay.
Instagram.
You got lots going on, and it does.
Man, yeah, it's there's no themes or rhyme or reason on what I post. So if you want some real random feeds going on, then
I
yes,
love it.
it's building a computer or pictures of my children or yeah, all of it in between. I think it's Anna Zwift Racer on Instagram is
I
where
think
it
so.
is.
Yeah.
You might know more than me.
Yeah, I thought it'd be
Yeah, there we go.
underscore Swift underscore Racer.
That's it. Thank you. There
Exact.
we go. If anyone actually watches any esport, I'm on Twitch as well. Anna Zwift,
Okay.
I think.
I know. I'm just going to continue. Twitch.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of girls on Twitch, like
Okay.
that they use Twitch.
Yeah.
Now, I'm like, what is this? And how can I use it? Like, is it just for pros? Because anybody?
No,
can do
everyone, I
stuff?
think, and you've got a great like backstory. I think you'd be good at, I mean, I'm pretty new to it. I've really only started in the last sort of couple of months. So it seems to me the person who'd answer this best is Nathan. Maybe we'll do one of our podcasts on what is Twitch because he'll answer it way better.
Yeah.
But to me, yeah, it looks very, I think it emerged out of gaming, you know, like people gaming.
Yes.
And, yeah, which I don't do. But I think people then took it to Zwift as like a game. And so, yeah. And then people like today, I had my ride on and I'm chatting to some dude who's commenting while I'm riding and we're talking about the Tour de France. And I don't know, I guess it's just a way to sort of showcase what you're doing.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I was watching some of my teammates who are racing and they're live streaming. So it's kind of like part of the contract. Like you have to live stream for people to watch you. And is that on Twitch?
I guess so. People can live stream anywhere. They can live stream on Facebook or YouTube, but I think Twitch is like the dedicated gaming one. Right. I am probably the worst person to ask about it, but it seems like a bit of fun. It was a good learning curve, figure out what it is, give it a try.
It does, because I just downloaded it and I'm like, I'm going to check this out a little bit closer. And because there's actually a Zwift part of it.
Yeah. And so like you could click on now and you'll see all the people who are streaming. I guess for racing, especially with like Premier Division, it would be quite fun to watch from their point of view and see like, how do they sprint? How do they attack? How do they do this? Right. It would be like having a camera.
You want your game face on there.
Yeah.
All the time, right.
It would kind of be like having a camera on Wout van Aert and being able to see all his power data, what he's doing in the race at any time. I guess it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that was because I saw that you're moving into that too. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can ask there. Because I know, like, there's so much around what people are doing there.
I mean, are you on TikTok? That's one thing I'm like, what is that?
It's like, well, you know, Anna, it's just like one of those people like, what they say is like, you have to be on every platform. And I'm like, oh my God, shoot me now. Because like I don't have any time to do anything else if you want me on all these platforms, you know, posting here, posting on LinkedIn, posting on Twitter, posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram, posting on TikTok. I'm like, oh, I just want to disappear sometime. I don't know about you, but
no, I do. Like I said, I'm very random on Instagram and it's probably the only thing I ever put anything on.
And that's good.
Some stuff Twitch. I don't have Twitter because I don't know, it seems really toxic. And
it's a different group, yes.
Yeah. And TikTok, I'm like, I just don't get it. By the time I get it, it'll be old news and there'll be something else. So I think I'm just gonna let it pass. And
you have to wait till you turn like 45 to get on TikTok.
Is it really?
It's the older crowd. It is.
Is it? No,
it's like
way.
Your grandma. But it's so funny. But
okay.
It's so informative. Like if you want to learn things, like
like dance moves or
no,
like geopolitical
like artist
situations.
Stuff, like refurbishing, for like probably computer stuff.
Okay.
You can find everything there that's business, like people are like personal businesses, like entrepreneurial stuff, like, and then you got all the other random crap. But
Yeah. Okay.
you know, it's kind of the opposite of Instagram. Like
Right.
Instagram's like that beautiful, you know, beautiful people there. Everything's beautiful. TikTok, it's just like everybody else. And like random.
Maybe I need to go on
like
that.
you don't have to be like, you know, you just be yourself over there.
Okay.
That's
God,
where
I'm not a Luddite, but man, I am so not up with the social media.
You don't need to be. If you're doing really good what you're doing, don't move. Just go watch it. It's good entertainment for, like, if you find some good people to follow. But yeah,
I'll get a few laughs. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like scrolling through Instagram. But anyways. All right. Well, thank you so much, Anna. I've really, really enjoyed this, even though it was 5 a.m, and I know it's late at night.
Thank you.
But I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope our listeners enjoyed this and took some stuff away and started, like, you know, looking into the Zwifting and just share this with someone who is athletic and a cyclist or an Ironman athlete, or if you're looking for a coach in New Zealand.
Yeah.
For Anna. But thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast, learning more about citing people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful. Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, have an amazing day. Make sure you ride your bike. And don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.